Hello and welcome to today's video. This is my April wrap-up video and let me tell you, this is going to be a quick one. April did not go amazing. It did not go as planned. We had a few issues. Now, April was going to be my 30 books in 30 days month. Technically I did start that and attempted that. It's not going to happen, and you know what, I'm not mad about it. I actually realised that unless there's like a really big long series that I want to read and do like that, it's just too many worlds for my brain. So we've got these books here, there's 11, and then there are some more books that I've read as ebooks, but they kind of came later on in the month. So these are the ones that I initially got through, the ones that are sitting right next to me. Essentially, this took me a long time to get through these because I had a week of being ill within those. And then I got into a reading slump after reading those, so we kind of had a bit of a mix-up and I didn't continue on with my planned TBR after that. Also, it's a weird background. I am, once I film this, going to start a bookshelf reorganisation video because I got a new bookcase, so that's why this background is a bit weird, but we're just going to go with it. This is going to be a quick one, so let's just get into it. What did I read and what did I think of it? So first of all, I read Sad Ghost Club 3. This is the third volume of the graphic novel series and I believe it's going to be the last volume. Not 100% sure, but I think it is the last volume. I gave this 4.5. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. You know, I sat down, I read it in an hour or two and it was a great time. It was very much like the same, similar sort of vibes as the first two books in this series. We followed a main character, but then in Sad Ghost Club 3 we've got 3 main characters. Every book kind of expands upon who you're looking at, and yeah, it was very relatable, very easy to follow, very easy to read. And you know, as an adult reading this, some of the things that were going on, it was like open your eyes, see what your friends are going through. But we got there in the end and it was a really lovely story to read. Then I read this really amazing poetry collection called The Perseverance by Raymond Antrobus. I really hope I'm saying that correctly. This is a poetry collection. It's all about essentially like history and language, but it also has a lot of like deafness within it. So I believe that the author is deaf or partially deaf, I'm not entirely sure. But throughout this collection we had like BSL? Is it ASL or BSL? I think it's BSL. The author's from London, so I assume it's BSL. So we had that like added into it. It was so good. I really enjoyed this. Yeah, it was really interesting. It gave me a lot to look at, it gave me a lot to think about. There was a lot of information in here. It was written really well. It was so impactful, so powerful. But there was also lots of things in here where it's like, I want to know more about this, I want to learn more about this, and it really gave you like the resources to be able to do that. Not only did it say throughout, there was also a further reading section. There was also an entire note section at the end, but you know, even parts throughout this, let me find it. So for instance, there were facts, but the facts told you like where the facts were from and stuff like that. I don't know, it was just so good, so interesting. If you enjoy poetry, I would definitely say to give this one a go. And I gave that one 4.5 stars as well. I'm not sure if I said that. So then we had a massive disappointment. This is Only Dull People Are Brilliant at Breakfast. This got 1 star. I did not enjoy it. I don't like to be too negative. Let's just say I personally thought this was utter shite. If I went on Google and, you know, searched quotes into Google, went through Google Images and just read that for an hour, I would feel the same way. The same boring, like utter, you know, hypocriteness throughout the quotes, utter like repetitiveness throughout the quotes. Like yeah, that's how it was for me. Now, I've read the reviews on Goodreads. A lot of people like this because they feel like it's just loads of random tweets. Yeah, maybe you'd like it. Like a lot of people do like it. I don't think I'm necessarily in a minority, but I feel like it's pretty much you either love it or you hate it kind of book, and I really hated it, so that was that one. Then I read Angel's Flight. This is a short story collection within the Guild Hunters, is that what it's called? Yes, within the Guild Hunters series. I believe that you read this in between books 5 and 6, that's at least how I've done it, and I really enjoyed this. I have split it down on Goodreads into like which short story I gave what rating, but overall it got a 4.5. Most of the stories I really enjoyed, even the ones that weren't like, you know, exactly amazing and wanted me to like keep going further with stories, I still really enjoyed them to a point of like, I was happy it was included sort of thing. Yeah, they got a variety of ratings. I will actually just insert them here because that's going to be the easiest thing to do than me like find it on Goodreads. But yeah, there were 4 stories in this and they were all good. Some I liked more than others. but it was a nice addition to the world and gave us a lot of like insight and background on certain characters. And then I also read Binti Home, which is the second book in the Binti series. I gave it 3 stars. It all just felt like set up for the third book, to be honest. All the interesting stuff that we'd like just started figuring out in book 1, we kind of moved away from very quickly, and this entire book felt like set up for book 3. It wasn't bad by any means, like it got 3 stars, that's a solid rating, but I just didn't really enjoy it. Like I didn't feel myself wanting to keep reading, because by the halfway point I was like, nothing massive is going to happen in this one. This is all going to be set up just to get ready for like a big book in book 3, and that is kind of how it was. Until I read book 3, I don't know if it was worth it or not, but I'm hoping so. Then I did an entire video reading some Tor novellas. So the next 4 books are all going to be in that video. I will link it up above. It'll be somewhere up here. I'll link the entire video if you want full thoughts, feelings. It is spoiler free, so like there's no spoilers within the video. Okay, so first up I read Every Heart a Doorway. This is just the dust jacket because I have now passed this on to my boyfriend to read. I gave this 4.5 stars. It's great. It's absolutely great. You'll hear more about this series later on in this wrap up. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed book 1. Again, full thoughts will be in that video, but yeah, essentially it was a very magical world with very like likeable characters with a very unique storyline, and I really had a great time. I also read Fina, which was so much fun. This is honestly just fun. It's a fun silly tie-in, but with some really deep storytelling and some really cool and interesting aspects to it. 2 employees of a box furniture store who are minimum wage employees and used to date start going through portals to try and get an elderly lady back who accidentally slipped through while shopping. That is all you need to know. It's a silly fun good time, and if that premise sounds interesting, just give it a go. Yeah, this one got 5 stars. Yeah, it was so good. There is one more book within this universe. It doesn't follow the same characters, but I can't wait to find it and get it. Like, yeah, so good. Then I read Comfort Me with Apples. This got 3.5 stars, but I would like to say I had been spoilt for the reveal, for the like, I don't know if you call it a twist, but like the revealy twisty bit that you get in like books. I'd been spoilt for that, so I knew that going in. I do think I'd enjoyed it more if I hadn't been spoilt for that, but I still had a fun time with it. I still found it really interesting. I still found it really enjoyable. I still read it in the course of a day. It was very easy reading. It was very unique reading. It was very weird in like the best way possible. I had a fun time, so yeah, that is that one. I think all you need to know is Sophia was made for him, her perfect husband. She can feel it in her bones. He is perfect. They're home together in Arcadia Gardens. It's perfect. Everything is perfect. And there's like, you know, pretty much that continues throughout the rest of this, and then everything is perfect, isn't it? I feel like, yeah, it's a, I'd call this a fun horror. Like, it is definitely horror. It's got horror aspects, but it was really fun to read still. Like, none of the horror shocked me in a way that stopped me wanting to read it. Like, none of it was unpalatable, or at least that's how I found it, so yes. Then we had another disappointment. Unfortunately, this is A Psalm for the Wild Built. It's not a disappointment. It got 3.5 stars, which is, you know, above average rating. Like, you know, 3 stars for me is a solid book. More than that is great, but I just expected this one to be a 5 stars, which is why I still feel disappointed by it. It was good, it was fun, but until the last quarter of the book I wasn't really that interested, and I wasn't really liking the main character, which just made it really difficult to keep reading, especially when it's a very character focused story. With how this book ended, I am excited to pick up book 2 at some point, and I think book 2, by how this one ended and the synopsis for book 2, I think that will be more what I thought I was going to get from this one, but didn't end up getting. Yeah, it's just a very character focused story about a monk and a robot and them interacting together. Yeah, like, there was nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong. It just, I didn't like our main character. I really liked the robot. I didn't like the monk too much. Like, they did seem to start turning around and sorting themselves out, like, in a way that I did find palatable towards last quarter, but the first big part of the book I was just really struggling with it, and I don't really know why. I don't really know how to put my finger on it. I did discuss this a whole lot more in the video, so you can go see that if you want the full thoughts. But yeah, like, it was good, but it wasn't what I was expecting, and it seems like a letdown when it was a 5-star expected read. And then after I read those, I read them all very quickly and I was very hyped, and honestly I just wanted to continue reading books like that. Like, that's what I was excited about, that's what I wanted to read more of, but that's not really what I had. So I ended up reading 2 more books in kind of a slumpy time. Like, it wasn't a proper reading slump, but it wasn't great. So I read the 100. I gave this 3.5 stars. This is the first book in the series. The TV show and the books are like based off the same premise. I had fun with it. It was fine. I read it as an audiobook. It was easy to follow along. It was very simple. I think if I would have read this when I was like 14, 15 and the TV show was coming out, I would have loved it a lot more. It was still really fun. It was still really interesting. This is kind of like if I was to reread like The Hunger Games or Divergent now. It's got the same sort of feeling. It's just a bit dated, but it is like a YA dystopia, and it was a fine, fun time. Nothing special. If you've never heard of the 100, there's 100 children who were living on a spaceship, but the Earth has been inhospitable for a long time, and basically these 100 children, because they've committed some sort of minor crime, get sent down to Earth to test if it's okay to live on or not. That's the basic premise of it. There's like adults that stay in the spaceship and are following this along. Yeah. I mean, it was fine. I'll definitely keep reading the series. I will keep reading it. I think it was a fun, easy time. I just don't have a lot to say. Like, it didn't really wow me. I do think... I haven't watched the TV show in a long time, but I do think I kind of preferred this to the TV show. I wish there were as many characters that we followed along with in the book as the amount of characters that we get to follow along and see in the TV show. I'm hoping that in the like next book and the next few books we do get introduced to more characters and their perspectives, because I feel like that was the thing that this was lacking. The TV show, we followed a lot of characters and a lot of different characters and kind of knew what was going on, whereas this one we only followed a few characters and we didn't really feel like, I didn't feel like I was getting the full picture. So yeah, that's kind of what I was missing from this. Then I read Wing. This was a really interesting poetry collection. I gave it 4 stars. It was really good. It really made me think. There was a lot of things that I liked about it. Out of all the poems in here, 4 of them are marked off to say that there was like a part in the poem that I really loved. 4 of them are marked off to be like this nature bit, this nature aspect that has been incorporated into a poem in like a very easy way is really cool. And 4 of them are marked off to say, look, I just loved and enjoyed the whole poem. So overall it was a really good time. There were just a few poems that were really not that. There were some poems that I was like, I'm just reading it to read it. Yeah, I kind of just, the only thing I would say, I wish some of the poems that I didn't click with so much were just taken out of it, because if only the poems that I were tabbed were in here, it would have been 5 stars, but there was a lot more than that in here. So that's the basics really. That's why it got 4 stars. So yeah, after reading those are all the physical books that I've read this month. I was just really slumping. And I knew what I needed. I knew what I needed and I decided to just go for it. Let's stop trying the 30 books in 30 day thing and let's just go for fun. So what I ended up doing is I just ended up continuing on with the Wayward Children series, which the first book was Every Heart a Doorway that I have mentioned. I am not going to even try and mention anything from any further book because I do feel like it's spoilers. I do feel like the only thing that you need to know is books 1, 3, 5, so on, so on. They kind of take part in like a linear timeline from like where book 1 is, and you know, you do get to see the children's home more and see other characters. Like every book has different characters as like the main character, and then books 2, 4, 6, so on, so on, they take place within someone's world. I think they're all prequel, like I think they all take place before the first book, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. Not all of them, I don't know. But yeah, they all take place in someone's world and they all follow someone. It could be characters you've already met and you get to learn about their world, or it could be completely new characters. That's all that you really need to know, to be honest. And I don't want to say any more because there's so many twists and turns in this. It could be a spoiler. So what I will tell you is that Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which is book 2, I gave 4.5 stars. Beneath the Sugar Sky, I gave 4 stars. In an Absent Dream, I gave 4 stars. Juice Like Wounds, which is a short story in between books 4 and 5, you can find it on the Tor website, got 4 stars. And then Come Tumbling Down was my favourite one. That's got 5 stars, the first 5-star of the series. It was so good, I loved it. And then Across the Green Grass Fields I also read and gave 3.5 stars. And that is where I ended the month. Honestly, my worst reading month this year, just being honest, it was. I read 17 books, so not the worst in terms of books. It's kind of like, you know, fair, decent, not quite as many as March, but like a decent amount. But in terms of page count, it's the lowest page count I've had. I read 2,794 pages, which I mean, they're all short books, I'm fine with that. It's just not how I expected the month to go. It was a very weird month, it was a very weird reading month, but that's what we've ended up with. So yeah, I do hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know down below how your reading month read. Have you read any of these books? Are there any books similar to these that you'd recommend? That sort of thing, let me know. Do give the video a like if you liked it. Subscribe down below if you'd like to see more content like this, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!